you, if you're just joining us, to share, like our video, and drop your thoughts and questions, and we will get back to you. Thank you. In our last episode, we took time to establish the fact that pedophilia and child sexual abuse are not the same. It doesn't matter the school of thought. We say this based on the scripture, Luke chapter 6, verse 45, that says that a good man out of the good treasure of his heart bring forth good. An evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart bring forth evil. For from the abundance of his heart he speaketh. So based on this, we know for sure that pedophilia, whether as a thought or as an act carried out, is one and the same as child sexual abuse. We equally established the fact that everyone is a suspect. Everyone around the child is a suspect, since it is a known fact that those who carry out this evil are those who are close and who are close relatives or familiar with the child and the family. We also took a look at what the responsibility of parents are towards the children in ensuring that we prevent child sexual molestation for the children. We ensure that it does not come to them. And one of those responsibilities would be to create an awareness. Don't you think, Mr. Femi?
Yes. An awareness has to be created about the evil of pedophilia and how dangerous it is for the children to know what it is. Because once they don't know, it becomes very easy for them to fall prey to this evil. But if it's something that they are aware of, it helps them to even protect themselves. And no child is too young to be made aware. Even from age 1, age 2, they can be educated in such a way that they will know that this exists, it is evil, it shouldn't come near you, and you should not get involved in it. Thank you.
And I'm sure also that the education and awareness is not just for the children alone, because the parents too have to be aware. There are certain things that make parents shy away from such heinous crimes when they are committed. And rather than speaking out, they hide it. I think it's high time that we actually encourage both parents and victims to speak out. And one of the responsibilities we talked about in our last episode was that as parents, we should be very, very observant as to what goes on around our children. Someone recently shared the story with me where a mother of a child of about 2-3 years old was abused. Now she lives in an environment with so many people, with uncles, with aunties, with helps around. And the mother had to be someone who really does not have time for the kids, not because she's working actually, but you know, these social media moms, okay? And they are so loud on social media, especially on men that carry women around and all that. But become negligent towards their children. Now she can't just point out the fact. She can't just come up with the possible suspect or what happened, at what point, being that she's always around with the kids, except on few occasions, okay? So she can't just point out where or how it happened. So lots of parents, I think, we have a lot of work to do and a lot of responsibility towards our kids. Equally, prayer. Can we overemphasize the place of prayer in this matter at all?
Okay, I want to say that knowledge, they say, is power. And like he said, awareness for me begins with parents. I've seen a whole lot of parents that want to sweep this whole thing under the carpet because of stigmatization.
Yeah.
They just feel that it shouldn't be talked about. I want to really say that parents should sit and do research. You don't wait till it happens to you. You empower yourself with knowledge before time. Nobody prays that it happens, but this is basically what happens daily in the life and the generation we found ourselves. So, as parents, I think we should try as much as we can to get more knowledge about abuse. Abuse can be in any form. Abuse could be in any form.
We are dealing with sexual abuse
Okay,
in this
fine.
case.
Now, the sexual abuse, which is actually the rampant kind of abuse these days, I think parents should not shy away from having knowledge. And then when things like that happen, you sit down and you begin to ask yourself some questions. Okay, like in the case she just said now. Now, for a mother who cannot actually say, of course, sometimes when you have a lot of people, you cannot really pinpoint the person is. But it's for her to go back to her drawing board, and check where the possible errors are coming from, because the child is just a baby and she cannot really say. She could just begin to call different names, because she's just a child. But as a mother, we keep saying mothers. And I know we understand why we keep saying mothers. Nobody is saying that as a mother you shouldn't hustle, because which is the age we have found ourselves in. But aside that, your home and your children are your first point of call. So, you should be vast with knowledge so that when the signs start coming, you will see them coming. And for me, that's really what I think, anyway.
Yes. In our last episode, we actually came up with a question: why is the woman blamed, even if she's the mother of the victim? Would you have anything to add, sir?
If she is the mother
Of the victim,
of the victim.
like in the case we just heard.
For me, I think it is wrong to blame the mother. But I think is women or the mothers are usually more blamed because we are in a patriarchal society where men are seen to be lord of everything and shouldn't take the fault, but the women should take the blame because maybe they are at home mothers and the father goes to work. But then we know that things are changing. Even sometimes in some families we see that the mother may be the breadwinner and it is the father who is the sit-at-home father. So I think we need to do a role reversal and see that all hands must be on deck. And then we don't just apportion blame to a particular gender because the roles of genders are changing in this society that we are in. And we see that even in Bible times that when men were jittery, Deborah led a war,
Yeah.
and it was successful. So that's my own take.
Yeah. And you see, I also like to add that child upbringing is not just a responsibility of one person, all right? But somehow the society has shared role plays for both genders, where the man goes to fend and then the woman sits back at home. But just like you said, things are changing. Now, we equally have the cases of single moms who don't have a male figure. So what will these women do? All right, if we are trying to say that, if we're trying to look at the part that women should not be, that some women can be exempted because the man is there. What about those women that don't have a male figure around them?
You see, it's not even a blame issue for me. it's a call to responsibility. And then when we talk about responsibility, the world is not resting on the onus is not resting on the parents alone now. It's even resting on the society and all the agents of socialization, which includes the church, worship centers, schools, and the rest. Because like we said, the society, the world is fast changing. So when we have single mothers who have to take care of the children and all of that, so we cannot put all the blames on them now. I mean, on the mother or even the single father or whatever. So everybody who is involved with a child has to have a sense of responsibility towards that child.
Yeah, everybody around the child needs to have the sense of responsibility towards the child. Tonight we'll be dealing specifically with the effects of pedophilia. And if we look at it critically, it does not just, it affects both the victim, it affects the family, and it affects the society at large. All right? Before we go into that, there's a story of a girl who was raped by her father when she was 16. A few years later, she discovered she was HIV positive. And after crying herself to stupor, she put a call through to her father to give him the news. The father, unfortunately, was also on his dying bed of the same disease. And all he could tell her was, sorry if I was the one. Like, you can imagine the trauma that lady would be in. My father, the father is usually the idol. Children usually idolize their father. Now, your idol comes and does this to you, puts you in a situation where you are now standing between life and death, save the grace of God. How can you assess the effect of this crime on children?
Okay, just as you were talking about, you were going through the story, I was just imagining, it's actually heartbreaking.
Yeah.
The fact that she was raped by her father is one, and that he gave her a disease that could lead to death. I want to say that that child needs a form of strong intervention in terms of counseling, because she could kill herself.
Yeah.
She could decide to commit suicide. After all, what is she living for? But at some point, the father also, we can't tell for sure.
Yeah.
Like we said the last time, victims could also, as in perpetrators could also be victims at some point in their life.
Yeah.
So, and though, because they were not checked, because they were not counseled, because there was no proper follow-up like psychosocial counseling that we don't actually look at in Nigeria. When there's a rape case, I think there should be a form of counseling, but we don't get those kind of processes in this part of the world. So the father, at some point of his life, could have also been a victim and then decided to mend that same thing on his child. And then, unfortunately, he transferred a terminal illness to the child.
For me, I would like to say that I think in this part of the world, or even world all over, we have not yet appreciated what it means to have a child.
Yeah.
Because sometimes looking to the Bible, it baffles me that God will speak about Moses almost 500 years before Moses came. For Josiah, almost 400 years before he came. So what will make God speak about a particular child in so number of years before they were actually given birth to? If not that children are arrows in the hand of God.
Yeah.
They are instruments to achieve purposes of God. And so the devil sees this, and I see that all of these are ploys in the hand of the devil to kind of truncate what God is doing.
Yeah.
You understand? He wants to go to the root and destroy it, just like he did when Jesus was born, trying to kill him, and then killed everyone that was 2 years and below, and that. And then he did that for Moses also, when Pharaoh had to say that any male child born had to die. So I think we parents need to come to the realization of why we need to give birth to children. And when we are not ready to give birth to children, it's not a crime.
Yeah.
We should not let the society push us to say we must have a child now. After 9 months, we must give birth to a child. If you're not ready to father a child or to raise a child, because it's actually demanding, then we need to watch it. Because such kind of father didn't see the significance of the child he was bringing to the world. And that's why he will allow himself, even if he was a victim of something like that, he has something to deal with. He should have dealt with it before the child. One is not judging, but I think we need to just realize that children shouldn't be toyed with.
Now, talking about the value of children, there are belief systems in this part of the world, in Africa, in the African continent, where it is believed that to get mystical powers or to get cure for HIV/AIDS, one needs to sleep with a virgin, not more than 16 years old, which falls under the category we are dealing with. Now, such practices truly does not reveal value for children. Now that it has become somewhat difficult to have virgins at 16 years old, you realize that these people now turn to children below the age of 10. I mean, it is very, very disheartening. It's unbelievable to think that if I want to get mystical powers, I want to be rich, I have to go defile a child.
You know, Jesus speaking called the devil the father of lies.
Yeah.
There are no powers anywhere but in God. But no, he knows his plan, what he wants to achieve. And so he tells lies, he deceives people to make them toe the line that he wants them to toe. So that's how I see it.